Right then guys, how's it going and welcome back to Your Football Predictions, the series where you guys go up against me to see who can get the most correct predictions for the upcoming Premier League games. So those were my predictions from the weekend. I predicted every single Premier League game and got 0 correct scores. So it's nice to know that the football's back and that nothing has changed here. I did get 4 correct outcomes. I was right that Southampton would beat Norwich, that Wolves would beat West Ham, that Newcastle would beat Sheffield United, and that Chelsea would beat Villa. But 0 correct scores is not good. You might notice as well that the Man City-Burnley game has not been played yet. That is tonight. But in order to keep up with my prediction videos, I had to do this one today because we have more football tomorrow night, Wednesday night and Thursday night. So just bear that game in mind when you're putting your predictions in for this week's games. And as always, I did go through all of your predictions. We had a good handful of people who got 1 correct score, but the winners for this week's video are Joseph, who got 3 correct scores, which could be 4 depending on tonight's game, and Philip, who got 2 correct scores and could be 3 depending on tonight's game. So we could have a Joseph win or a draw if Philip gets it right, but either way, these 2 guys were the clear winners this week, so well done to both of you. And remember, if you want to be shouted out in my next predictions video, which will be Friday, ready for the weekend's games, which is actually FA Cup weekend, so I'm thinking I might do an FA Cup predictions video instead. But if you want to be shouted out in my Friday video, be sure to get your predictions down below for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night games. But as always, I will be going through all of them now, and you'll also find all of the games down in the description if you want to copy and paste them and stick your predictions in. But let's get through the games now. Right then, to start things off on the Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and this game is on Sky, we have Leicester taking on Brighton. So Leicester sitting in 3rd place, 8 points ahead of 5th place, so sitting very comfortably for that Champions League spot. And at the weekend, they drew 1-1 with Watford. Despite Leicester scoring a last-minute goal, Watford came back and scored a last-second equaliser to take it to a draw. Brighton got a very valuable win at the weekend, beating Arsenal 2-1 thanks to a 95th minute winner from Mapai. Although there was a little bit of controversy about that one because he did have a rather dodgy challenge on Leno, which sent him off injured. So the Arsenal fans will feel pretty hard done to on that one, I think. But Brighton will be very happy with picking up the 3 points. And as I say, it's a very valuable win for them because they are now sitting in 15th place and 5 points ahead of the relegation zone. So I actually had quite a long think about this one because Brighton will be absolutely buzzing to now be taking that step away from the relegation zone. A very good win for them, but I would still say Leicester are the better team and are probably still the favourites for this one. So I have gone 2-1 win to Leicester. But as I say, Leicester are pretty comfortable where they are, and Brighton really need to keep fighting to get away from that relegation zone. So maybe they could turn it around in this game. Next up again on the Tuesday, but at 8:15, and again on Sky, we have got Spurs taking on West Ham. So Tottenham drew with Man U at the weekend, 1-1. Both goals were pretty rubbish, to be honest. De Gea should have definitely saved the Spurs goal, and Eric Dyer giving away a sloppy pen, allowing Man U to equalise 1-1. And that was it. You know, Man U, I think, will be happier with the point because they are just trying to solidify their place up in 5th or push for 4th. Whereas Spurs are currently sitting down in 8th place and on 9 points off 4th and 4 points off 5th. So they really could have done with 3 points in that game. West Ham, you know, are still having a bit of a mare. They lost 2-0 against Wolves. They are just 1 point ahead of Villa, who are in 19th. They are on joint points with Bournemouth, who are in 18th, and 1 point behind Watford, who are in 16th. So again, I spoke about this last video. It's very tight down the bottom, and any points can take you away. You know, Watford draw against Leicester. Just that 1 point is very valuable. Brighton's win against Arsenal, that's pushed them ahead. West Ham lost against Wolves, and now a very tough game against Spurs if they want to pick up some points. And as I say, both teams really need the points right now, and I've gone for a 2-0 Spurs win. Moving on to the Wednesday night, 6 o'clock, Manchester United versus Sheffield United. This game is on Sky Pick, so you can watch this one for free. As I mentioned, Man U drew with Spurs 1-1 at the weekend and are currently sitting in 5th place, 5 points off 4th place. So, you know, I think they are cementing themselves for hopefully at least a Europa spot, but they are going to still want to try and keep pushing for that 4th place finish. Sheffield United sitting in 7th place, and I've had a bit of a nightmare since the restart. The draw against Villa that really they should have won if their goal had been allowed, and then losing 3-0 to Newcastle yesterday. But, you know, are still sitting in 7th place and are just 2 points behind 6th and 5th place. So obviously things could be looking better if they'd had some better results since coming back. But let's remember, you know, these are a promoted side. I think there's been a lot of pressure put on them. They should really be happy, you know, that they stayed in the league. That was probably their aim at the start of the season, to be in the top half. Never mind 7th place pushing for Europa is a fantastic achievement. And they can still do it, you know. In terms of a prediction for this game, however, because, you know, Man U are a very good side, and because Sheffield United haven't had the best of form, I have backed Man U to win 2-0. However, saying that, you know, really the Newcastle 3-0, a big part of that was the fact that Sheffield United got a player sent off. If they can stick with 11 players on the pitch and defend like they have done all season so far, maybe they could pick up something in this game. Next up, again on the Wednesday, and again at 6 o'clock, but on BT Sport, we have got Newcastle taking on Aston Villa. So, it was very nice to see Newcastle return to the Premier League yesterday and pick up a 3-0 win. A big part of that was that Sheffield United got a player sent off, but it was still very nice to see us go on and pick up 3 goals. Newcastle are now 11 points ahead of the relegation zone, you know, which is very nice to see, and just 8 points behind a Europa League spot. So who knows what might happen before the end of the season. I think that's going to happen, but you never know. Aston Villa, I think, did very well to get a draw against Sheffield United last week, and then lost 2-1 against Chelsea at the weekend, which is obviously going to be a very tough game. I've mentioned it already, Villa are down in the relegation zone, but are just 1 point off Bournemouth and West Ham to get out of the relegation zone. So Villa are desperate for the points, but Newcastle are going to be on a very big high after winning their first game back 3-0. So I'm going to back Newcastle 1-0. I don't think we'll get as many as 3, but I'm hoping we can continue this little bit of form and pick up another win. Next up, again on the Wednesday, again at 6 o'clock, but this one is on the BBC. We have got Norwich taking on Everton. So Norwich are having a bit of a nightmare at the minute. They are flat bottom of the league, 6 points away from getting out of that relegation zone, and lost 2-0 to Southampton at the weekend. You know, they've got a hill to climb at the minute. 6 points. It's 2 wins. It's still doable. You know, they can still do this. But it isn't going to be easy. And where those wins are going to come from, I'm not sure. I thought they might have had a chance against Southampton, but it wasn't the case at all. Southampton got a very dominant win, shall we say. So, can Norwich turn it around against Everton? I think Norwich, it's the kind of games where you actually want to have the crowd. You know, you want the fans to really be backing you. They need that motivation. Who knows? And then Everton made their return to the Premier League with a 0-0 draw against Liverpool. They stopped Liverpool from being able to win the league just yet. And then Everton are sitting pretty much mid-table. They're not going to get relegated. I doubt they're going to get Europa. So in terms of who this game will mean more to, it will definitely be Norwich. Does that mean that Norwich can go out and get 3 points? I'm not sure. I've given Norwich a chance. I've gone 1-1. Maybe they can pick up a point to help towards their relegation battle. And the final game on Wednesday is at 8:15 on Sky, and it is Liverpool taking on Crystal Palace. So, as I say, Liverpool drew 0-0 with Everton, which Everton will be more happy about because it stopped Liverpool from winning the league just yet. And it's all a bit all over the place with how Liverpool can win the title. I think if they had beaten Everton and Man City had lost tonight against Burnley, that would have been them champions. But because Liverpool didn't win, if City beat Burnley, Liverpool can't win the title against Crystal Palace, and it could go down to the Liverpool-Man City game at the Etihad. So it's all pretty exciting, and as I say, it's not if, it's when Liverpool win the title. It's not done yet, but it's got to be, hasn't it? Surely. And then, as I say, Crystal Palace, a very solid win over Bournemouth. And Crystal Palace are just 4 points behind 6th and 5th place. So maybe they could push for a last-second dash to a Europa League spot. Both teams are going to be wanting to win this game. I think Crystal Palace have been very dominant over the lower end of the league teams and not so much the top 6. So with that in mind, I'm going to back Liverpool to a narrow 1-0 win. On paper they should be winning it, but as I say, Crystal Palace may be confident from their last game, so we'll have to see. Next up on Thursday night at 6 o'clock, and this one's on Sky Picks, so you can get this one for free. We have got Burnley taking on Watford. So we haven't actually seen Burnley in action yet because they play Man City tonight. So it's a bit of a tougher prediction to put on this one. But Burnley are currently sitting very mid-table, not going to get relegated. Potential outside shot at a Europa spot because I think every team has one because the league is so tight. Watford, as I say, picked up a very solid draw against Leicester and nudged themselves just that little bit further away from the relegation zone. So the prediction I've gone for is 1-1, which I think is a pretty fair prediction. Next up on the Thursday, again at 6 o'clock and just on standard Sky, we have got Southampton taking on Arsenal. As I say, Southampton got a very solid win against Norwich at the weekend, which puts them 10 points ahead of the relegation zone, which I'm sure they will be very happy about. And then Arsenal currently sitting in 10th. Have had a bit of a nightmare restart, losing against Man City and then a very tough to take loss against Brighton at the weekend. Arsenal are currently sitting 6 points off 6th and 5th place, which doesn't sound too bad. I think that's still achievable, but 11 points behind 4th does not sound quite as good. So, as I say, Southampton want to continue that form on from a great win, going up against a bruised Arsenal team at the minute, and then Arsenal, when are they going to find that fight back? Because if they want to be qualifying for Europa or have any chance of Champions League, they have to be winning this game. It's the potential for goals, but it's also a potential for a 0-0 as well, isn't it? So I've gone 2-2. Ings is on fire at the minute, so I could easily see him grabbing one. Arsenal's defence hasn't been fantastic, but as I say, Arsenal have got to do something soon. And it needs to be this game, so I've gone 2-2. And to finish things off, the final game on Thursday night at 8:15, and on BT Sport, we have Chelsea taking on Man City. So Chelsea sitting in 4th place, 5 points ahead of Man U and Wolves. So sitting in a pretty comfy spot where they are at the moment, and with a good win over Villa at the weekend. Man City sitting in second place, as we saw them beat Arsenal first game back, and then still have Burnley to play tonight. As I've mentioned, Man City sitting in second. They're going to get top four. It's going to be the off-field decisions that decide if they are allowed to play Champions League football next season. And as I mentioned, Liverpool are going to win the league, but Man City are going to want to keep the pressure on Liverpool right up to the final day, or as long as they can. So for a prediction, I think it could be quite a close one. I think this will be a good game. I have backed Chelsea to win 2-1. Who knows? Man City did really run a riot at Arsenal, so it'll be interesting to see how Burnley do, especially with 11 men, because obviously Arsenal went down to 10 when David Luiz got sent off. So yeah, I'll stick with that and we'll see how it goes. And that is it, guys. So those are my predictions up there for the games on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday night. Be sure to get your predictions for those games down in the comments below, and I will be back on Friday to shout out the winner and go through some more predictions for the weekend's games. Now, the first game is on Tuesday at 6 o'clock, so be sure to get all of your predictions in before Leicester take on Brighton. If you are a little bit late, I will check the predictions again on Wednesday night in case you want to just put the predictions in for Wednesday and Thursday. But as always, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Drop a like if you are enjoying these predictions videos, and be sure to subscribe as well. As I say, I'll be back on Friday to shout out the winner for your predictions on these games, and maybe we could take a look at the FA Cup games as well. Alright, thank you for watching. As always, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you later.